Hey guys, greetings and welcome to another video. We're still here in China. Now, if you're looking at this area and thinking that, this doesn't really look like China, well, there's a reason for that, and I'm going to talk to you all about that in this video. Now, while you're probably thinking, geez, that looks pretty European for being China, well, the quick explanation is that these buildings look European because, in fact, they are. Basically, everything around here was built by the British and the French, mostly sometime within a couple decades either way of the year 1900. So these are all, 100 to 150-year-old buildings, still looking beautiful, still looking nice. And while this place is a nice, serene place, these days everybody's here looking happy, taking pictures, even getting their wedding photos. Well, there are plenty of parts of this area's history that are not so bright. And in fact, I'm sure a lot of Chinese, especially those who know their history, have very mixed feelings about this place. So, where are we? We're at a place called Shamian Island. And it is technically an island these days, though it didn't initially start out as one. I'm sure most of you all have heard about the Opium Wars, which took place starting in around the 1830s. There were a couple of Opium Wars. Well, after the Second Opium War, which ended in 1859, it ended in a complete disaster for China. This whole area became a concession for the British and the French. The British took the majority of it, probably about 3/5 of the area, 3/5 of the territory, leaving the scraps for the French. And they didn't waste any time in building it up, making it look quite stunning. I mean, considering how long ago this was built, I mean, you can see they put a lot of time, energy, resources into this. If you've heard of China's Century of Humiliation, which if you follow my channel, you definitely have heard of it. I've made an entire video talking about it. Well, that really kicked off with the Opium Wars. I mean, the British did some pretty heinous shit back in the day. Well, with the end of the Second Opium War, they basically forced China to make the opium trade legal, which ravaged their society, and they forced them to give up territorial concessions, one of which was this. So, when they call it the Century of Humiliation, I mean, it's kind of a good term because that must have been pretty humiliating. So what the British did when they got this area, they didn't waste any time and they cut a big canal around it to make it an actual island. Because Guangzhou was a very, very important port down in this region. And so it was prime real estate for the British. And so once they got control of this area, they built it up. They made it their own enclave, built a canal around it to separate it for, well, mainly protective purposes. And they were just up to their own business down here with trade, with their own business things. And they had their own little England with a pretty nice slice of France right down here in southern China. And it's cool that this place still exists today. Now, obviously, China has a lot of hard feelings about the Century of Humiliation. That's basically responsible for making China the kind of aggressive military behemoth that they have become today. Well, the whole Century of Humiliation left them with a lot of sore spots. And, understandably so. Of course, you can't use that excuse forever. Personally, I think that it's time China kind of lets that go. I mean, you can only use that excuse for so long. But that is why, if it seems like China has a chip on its shoulder and it seems like they get very sensitive to pretty much anything, well, a lot of it kind of stems from the Century of Humiliation, and that all started with those Opium Wars. And what you're seeing right here, everything around me, is a direct result of the Second Opium War. Hey guys, quick interruption. If you are here watching my video, there's a high likelihood that you have an interest in China. Well, personally, I think it's important that we all learn a foreign language, and I want to suggest choosing Chinese as your foreign language. First of all, by studying the Chinese language, you will really start to understand China on a much deeper level. Also, Chinese is the second most widely spoken language in the world, with over 1 billion Chinese speakers worldwide. People say that learning Chinese is so difficult, and let's be frank, in some ways it is, but it's not nearly as tough as you think, and the grammar is super easy. I want to encourage you to check out my channel sponsor, Excel Mandarin, and take advantage of their free trial lesson offer. You have nothing to lose and potentially a lot to gain.
Excel Mandarin has bilingual native Chinese speakers based in the US who can teach you real Chinese, and they have the ability to take you from beginner all the way up to fluency. They offer 24/7 support, and they have all of the resources available that you could ever want. I learned Chinese by fumbling my way around on the streets of China. It was a really fun and interesting way to learn, but it wasn't very efficient. If I'd had a native speaker guiding me and helping me along the way, I would have learned a lot more, a lot faster. So check them out today, sign up for a free trial lesson, and make sure not to forget the most important part. Be sure to tell them that Mr. Chopsticks sent you. Okay, now back to the video.
Now, all of this territory here stayed in British and French possession until it was finally completely taken back by the Chinese, but that wasn't until 1949, after the communists technically declared victory from their civil war. And then once that happened, they got firm control of Shamian Island, where we are right now. But fortunately, they didn't choose to destroy it. You know, with somebody like Chairman Mao, I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to do that. But fortunately, he didn't. He left the buildings intact, and they repurposed them so they could be used for different things. And it's good that they did, because it's a cool area. It's a beautiful area. And while, yeah, its very existence is a reminder of very humiliating chapters of history for China, well, history is history, and sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's dirty, ugly, violent. But what you've got here as a result, you've got a little piece of history right here. It's a very scenic spot. And it's a cool thing to have, you know, and as you can see, a lot of people enjoy it here. Tons of people come here, not only foreign travelers, but mostly Chinese travelers. They come here for the very unique scenery, the relaxing atmosphere. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've seen here taking their wedding photos. Now we're gonna walk up this way. I wanna show you guys the canals that the British immediately constructed as soon as they got control of this territory here. They got the territory in 1859, and within that very year, they had these canals built. They did not waste any time. All right, guys, this is it here. So after the Second Opium War, right then at that very point in time, there would not have been water right here. This would have been connected. You could have just walked right across. But this is the massive canal that the British built here on Shamian Island. And now this whole place, I mean, it's pretty darn big. The entire area is completely separated from the mainland. It's literally an island at this point. And of course, down that way, you've got the Pearl River. And then up here, you've got the Shajichong Canal. It's pretty neat to see. You know, if you don't know the history of this place, if you're just here walking around, you probably wouldn't think much of it. You might think this is just a natural river or something running through, but it is not. Because you can see by the British doing this, I mean, they knew they had done some really bad stuff, and they had definitely left let's just say they left a bad taste in the mouths of the Chinese. And they had this enclave down here. Well, you can see by constructing this canal right here, they would have created a good amount of distance from the mainland, which could really help them in terms of protection for when that inevitable day would come when the Chinese would finally be like, screw this. You guys came in here, you bombed us, you attacked us, you killed us, you forced us to take your damn opium, which ravaged our country, and you took some of our land. You guys got to get the hell out of here. And of course, ultimately, not in the way that you might expect, but ultimately that day came. And this isn't the only place in China where you'll see these kind of remnants of European, well, semi-settlement in China. Even if you go out to Shanghai, if you go to an area called Puxi, you'll see a huge area that looks very, very European. And that is also because it traces back to the Opium Wars, when the British managed to get themselves a land concession there in Shanghai. And of course, they built it up. And those buildings that they built are still there today. And billions of people walk past it annually. This place went from being a sandy shoreline and a major port for the Chinese, you know, going back hundreds of years. Then it became a British and French concession as a result of the Second Opium War. Well, here we are in 2026. It's firmly back in the grasp of China, but of course the memories still remain in the form of these buildings and this entire island. And nowadays, it has been graced with the presence of the Golden Arches. That's right, Shamian Island has Mickey D's. Well, apparently, the British didn't only just leave them with a big, beautiful canal here, they left the locals with a convenient little fishing spot. Well, of course, they couldn't have Shamian Island completely separated from the mainland. I mean, they had to have a way to let people in and get out. So, as you can see, they built these really nice bridges here. We'll take a look. These days, just probably 50 feet, and you're off Shamian Island, and you're back in Guangzhou proper. Got some good old Chinese capitalism in full effect. Oh, okay. Do you all have coffee? Or just fruit stuff?
No, coffee
down that way.
But there's this special local.
I ended up buying a drink from that guy. It's pineapple, fresh pineapple, coconut, and a type of like flower tea. I'm not sure specifically what kind, but no sugar added, all natural. And I bought one. It cost $2. It's not very sweet, which is preferable for me. I don't like stuff that's too sweet. It's very good, very refreshing, and I wouldn't have bought it if that guy didn't come over and sell it to me. He's a good salesman. I found out he's actually quite successful. He's got 10 shops open here in Guangzhou, so he must be rolling in the cash. I think you can see why I said it was a good idea for Mao not to destroy this area, because sure, it maybe represents something that they're ashamed of and they're embarrassed by, and a bad time in history. But like I said, history, it is what it is. It leaves its scars, and sometimes the scars can be beautiful. Just like this one here. I mean, look how popular it is. And this place is 99% Chinese tourists, not foreign. And they come here from all parts of China.
I enjoyed my afternoon stroll through a place which is much more than it appears. Shamian Island is one of those places that, while calm and serene, was actually born of turmoil. It's an interesting place indeed. If you're in the area, I highly recommend paying it a visit. If you enjoyed the video, please do me a favor and give it a like and drop a comment. My journey is only just beginning, so I hope you'll subscribe and join me for future adventures. 今天就说到这儿吧，那下次再见，朋友们。While I appreciate all viewers and supporters, there is a growing group of supporters who support me via YouTube memberships and Patreon subscriptions, and I want to give all of you a shout out. You know who you are. Thanks for the extra support and helping me to get a step or two closer to hopefully finally someday achieving my dream of being able to do YouTube full time. To the Grasshopper and Tiger Tiers, thank you guys so much. An extra special shout out to my P-Shield tier members. You are amazing. And of course, I'd be remiss to fail to mention my top tier supporters, Lee, Martin S, and David is Dawei. Truly, truly appreciate all of you. We're on this journey together, and trust me when I say, we're just getting started, my friends.